What would you do if the state stole 3 decades of your life? A detective corners a young man, and a confession appears out of thin air. The jury gasps, because the story makes no sense, but the sentence stands. Whispers follow for years, a DA untouchable, a file that never sees daylight. Stay with me until the very end, and don't forget to tap like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Because what follows puts power on trial. Marcus Ellison was 21 when Brookhaven County swallowed him. A corner store owner, Elias Monroe, lay dead behind the register. Panic demanded a culprit. Detective Noreen Pike steered the narrative. District Attorney Cole Stratton polished it. A taped confession, smudged fingerprints, and a neighbor's shaky silhouette became fate. Marcus kept saying, tiredly, "I wasn't there." Nobody in power listened. The city wanted closure more than truth. Local papers printed Stratton's quotes like scripture. Pike hinted at gang ties, though none existed. The jury felt the weight of grief, not the hollowness of evidence. A public defender with 5 other trials that week offered no refuge. Marcus watched his future narrow into institutional gray, verdict echoing, guilty, life. In prison, Marcus learned every sound had a temperature. Steel doors slammed cold, chow lines studded dull. He wrote appeals by hand, words tunneling toward light that never arrived. Pike's report stayed spotless in the record. Stratton rose to statewide office. The only person visiting regularly, his sister Denise, taped family photos to cinderblock, refusing to let his name vanish. The post-conviction unit declined reconsideration, twice. Evidence storage lost a swap. Pike retired to a lake house. Stratton announced a judgeship run. When Marcus filed another habeas petition, the deputy clerk sighed audibly. A parole board member told him to accept responsibility if he wanted hope. He refused, firm as welded iron. "How do I confess to something I didn't do?" A young journalist, Elena Reyes, stumbled on the case, chasing a series about coerced confessions. She noticed the interrogation ran 9 hours, the recording only 3. Patterns formed, same detective, same DA, same edges trimmed. She requested the original tapes. The county's reply, misplaced. And then, the midnight knock split the silence. At Elena's door stood Jonah Patel, an attorney with the Liberty Project. He'd read her column and brought boxes, old trial transcripts, bench notes, and an overlooked lab memo. A date leaped out, June 12, 1995, showing inconclusive blood typing. Yet Stratton had called it a match. The memo wasn't in defense. Someone had curated the truth. Elena interviewed Denise, who produced letters Marcus sent across decades, careful, lucid, and consistent. Jonah filed a motion to compel evidence access, citing Brady violations. Social media amplified Elena's series, subscribers grew and pressure followed. A judge ordered the evidence room opened under supervision. Boxes emerged, labeled painstakingly and sloppily, Ellison, Misk. Inside, a sealed bag, untested fingernail scrapings from Monroe. The county balked, citing chain of custody concerns. Jonah countered, the chain hadn't been honored to begin with. Judge Miriam Keats granted limited testing with an independent lab. Dr. Shahana Iyengar took custody, documenting each step. Across town, Stratton's campaign ads promised unflinching justice. Elena knocked on Pike's door, no answer. The lake glinted like a closed eye. Results came back. The scrapings contained male DNA not belonging to Marcus or Monroe. Jonah petitioned for a new hearing. Stratton called a press conference, framing it as contamination risk, invoking victims' family trauma. Elena found Elias Monroe's nephew, Darren. He'd always felt wrong about the case. His uncle distrusted Marcus's store on principle. No. They barely knew each other. Stratton doubled down. He suggested Marcus had an accomplice, an invented phantom to protect his narrative. He floated an alternative time window contradicting original testimony. Pike surfaced, finally, via a lawyer's statement. Detective Pike stands by the investigation. The statement dodged every detail. Meanwhile, Dr. Iyengar requested the full interrogation log, time counters on the recorder's internal memory. The recorder's internal log didn't match the tape. 2 sessions existed that day, one vanished. A preservation record, filed by Pike, showed a dub over the morning after. Jonah filed a perjury motion. Judge Keats set an evidentiary hearing. Alina reported it plainly, the clean confession wasn't clean. The very rule Stratton used against Marcus, chain of custody, now condemned him. An officer from property, Barry Klein, testified about a routine Pike favored, review dubs before defense viewings. He looked sick saying it. Denise gripped a quiet crucifix in the gallery, not for miracles but steadiness. The lab retested the smudged prints. New software excluded Marcus definitively. Darren Monroe, eyes wet, whispered to Alina, if they lied, then let it burn down. Alina dug into Pike's prior cases. 3 had already been overturned for similar discrepancies, missing minutes, mismatched logs. She tracked down a former informant, Lola Baines, who admitted she'd been pressured to place Marcus near the store. He wasn't there. I just wanted the charges off my back. Her sworn affidavit landed like a hammer on water. Stratton's campaign sagged under headlines. He turned belligerent, calling the Liberty Project agenda-driven. Jonah subpoenaed Stratton's trial file. Inside, margin notes on the memo calling the blood inconclusive. He'd circled it, then said match in court. The defense table swelled with timelines and exhibit stickers. For the first time in 30 years, Marcus trusted the weight of paper. Judge Keats permitted limited cross of Stratton about disclosure practices. He sidestepped, practiced, and was careful. But Dr. Iyengar explained the statistical certainty of the non-match. Science replaced rhetoric with numbers. Denise testified about 30 years divided into birthdays missed, funerals heard through phones, the ground changing under a man who never left his square. The gallery inhaled and didn't exhale. Jonah called a surprise witness, Frank Dumont, then a rookie on Pike's team. He remembered the second session. Marcus asked for a lawyer. The camera kept rolling, the tape later edited. Frank had written a memo, it disappeared. He'd left the department quietly. Seeing Marcus now, he choked, I should have done more. The courtroom trembled with contained anger. An archivist produced a mislabeled cassette from a forgotten annex. The voice was Marcus, tired, refusing, asking for counsel, another voice, impatient, redirecting questions. The timestamp bridged the missing hours. Stratton stared ahead, unblinking. Pike's lawyer requested recess. In that cassette's hiss, the room heard a spine breaking. But one detail was always there, buried in plain sight. Jonah spread evidence like a map, recorder logs, lab results, affidavits, the annex cassette, the Brady memo. He asked Stratton, under oath, if calling inconclusive a match met his training. Stratton hedged, then faltered. Alina's camera, permitted by court, captured the moment his jaw tightened. Denise stared through him. Marcus clasped his hands, anchored against the storm. Dr. Iyengar presented a new development. The unknown male DNA matched a partial profile from an unsolved 1997 burglary 3 blocks away, same pry tool signature on doors. The pattern suggested a local offender Monroe had ejected weeks earlier. Darren confirmed the earlier altercation. Pike's statement suddenly felt like a costume in daylight. The court sensed inevitability assembling itself, piece by piece. Judge Keats ruled, the confession inadmissible, the conviction vacated, and immediate release pending decision on retrial. The gallery erupted, then collapsed into quiet as Marcus stood. Stratton's face blanched. A bailiff steadied Denise as the years lifted, molecule by molecule. Outside, microphones sprouted like weeds. And then, every voice fell silent as the truth hit the table. The DA's office declined to retry. An outside jurisdiction opened an investigation into Pike and Stratton. Pike surrendered her badge, pending charges of evidence tampering. Stratton withdrew his candidacy, bar discipline followed. The state issued Marcus a formal apology and a certificate that looked obscene beside 3 lost decades. The courtroom doors opened. Marcus stepped into unfiltered light. Denise drove Marcus past the river they'd watched as kids, water moving exactly as before. Alina's series concluded with names, dates, documents, no romance, only record. Jonah filed civil claims, the county settled. Darren left lilies on his uncle's grave and a note, "We failed you." Marcus visited a bookstore, bought a blank journal, and wrote his first free page. At dusk, Marcus stands on the courthouse steps alone, tie loosened, palms open to evening air. The building that caged him now throws long, harmless shadows behind his heels. Lesson: justice is not an act, it's a structure that collapses without accountability. Power thrives in silence until records speak. Dignity demands persistence, documented, deliberate. If you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, subscribe to this channel and never miss the next case where truth prevails.